Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. I'm sitting on the edge of an inflatable mattress in my friend Marcus's one-bedroom apartment, writing this on my laptop because there's nothing else to do while he's at his night shift. 2 days ago, I was still living in my parents' house. I had a real bed, a Labrador who followed me around, and a garage full of my stuff. Now Dad has kicked me out. Mom is sleeping in the guest room to avoid the constant shouting, and most of my extended family is calling me a traitor. I need to know if I'm actually the one who blew everything up, or if Dad pushed me out when I stopped working for free. I'm 24, male. My father, Sergio, is 62. 35 years ago, he started a small company that makes custom packaging for specialty food brands. Things like fancy chocolate boxes, recyclable coffee bean bags, and printed labels that look better than what you see in a grocery store. He began in a rented garage cutting cardboard by hand. Today, the business has 2 warehouses, about 80 employees, and delivery vans with our last name printed on the side. Everyone in the extended family calls it the company, as if there's no other place to work. When I was a kid, weekends didn't mean soccer practice. They meant sweeping warehouse floors and flattening scrap cardboard. My older brother, Mateo, 27, and I grew up watching forklifts move pallets and listening to Dad complain about shipping costs. Dad's message was constant. Family sticks together, the company feeds the family, and someday it will all be ours. He never said which parts will be whose. He just repeated that one day we'd run it. I went to college and studied business administration. I worked at the company every summer. Most of the time it was unpaid, but Dad called it learning the ropes. He put me in the parts of the business he didn't like. Taking inventory in a warehouse so hot I lost 5 pounds every August. Updating outdated spreadsheets and running sample deliveries to clients who live 2 hours away. Mateo always seemed to get the jobs Dad respected more, scheduling production lines and talking to machine techs. Dad said it was because Mateo was mechanically minded. By senior year of college, I was thinking about finding a marketing job at a larger company. I wanted to see how other firms worked before maybe coming back. When I mentioned this, Dad got upset. He said the company needed new digital marketing if we were going to win online clients, and I was the perfect person. He also said I could live at home while I paid off student loans. At first, it sounded smart. I moved back after graduation, put my boxes in my old room, and started showing up at the office every morning. We never signed a contract. Dad said we don't need HR paperwork because we were family. He said, whatever salary you'd get somewhere else, consider it transferred through room and board until you've saved up. I believed him. Mom backed him up, and Mateo said that was exactly how it worked for him when he started full-time. For 8 months, I worked 50-hour weeks. I rewrote the website, ran social media ads, set up an Instagram feed, and linked our order system to Shopify. That alone pulled in 3 new clients who sell artisan chocolate bars online. Each one now orders tens of thousands of custom boxes a quarter. Dad bragged about my results to every visitor. He also kept me busy on weekends, fine-tuning branding. He would hand me a low-resolution logo on a Sunday afternoon and say, "We need a polished version by Monday to pitch a new brewery." My bank balance never moved. When I asked about money, Dad said, "I'm covering your meals, your phone bill, and your roof. I'm training you to be an owner, not an employee." The only cash I saw was $20 or $40 on the laundry room shelf with a Post-it that said gas. I was annoyed, but I told myself Mateo was in the same spot. I checked his social media and saw him eating out sometimes, but I assumed he was using savings. On Monday morning, the copier jammed. Dad asked me to find a maintenance contract that Mom had filed somewhere. Mom keeps payroll folders in the same cabinet. While digging, I saw a stack of recent pay stubs for Mateo. They looked official. Company letterhead, direct deposit line, $3,235 gross for a 4-week pay period. Taxes withheld, 401k contributions, the whole thing. There were other stubs behind it, one every month going back a year. My name wasn't on any payroll forms. I took the folder to Mom. She tensed up and said, "Your father handles salaries. I thought you two had an arrangement." I walked into Dad's office and shut the door. I showed him a pay stub. He rubbed his eyes and said he was busy. Could we talk later? I said we'd talk now. He admitted Mateo was on payroll because, in Dad's words, he's the one who'll take over, so he needs to see real money now to stay motivated and stick with the business. Dad told me I was getting a different form of compensation. No rent, no grocery bills, and priceless mentorship. Then he said something that sticks in my head. Someone has to steer the ship. Someone polishes the deck. "So which one am I?" I asked. "Supportive crew," he said. I walked out shaking. That night I couldn't sleep, so I updated my resume. I listed every project I'd done. Rebranding, e-commerce integrations, 3 case studies. I searched LinkedIn and found a job posting from BrightPack, our biggest competitor. They do the same kind of packaging, but with a trendy logo and a bigger marketing budget. Their ad listed a salary range starting at $55K. I submitted my application at 2 a.m. BrightPack's HR called me at 10 the next morning to schedule an interview for the following day. I didn't tell Dad. I called in sick and drove to their headquarters, which has glass walls, modern machines, and a coffee machine that grinds beans exactly when you press the button. Their marketing manager asked me how I grew our social media following 300% in 6 months. I explained the process, including cost per click, conversion rates, and client testimonials. He offered me an account coordinator role on the spot at $58,000 base, health insurance, and a gym membership. I asked for 24 hours to think. That night, I told Mom what was happening. She listened quietly. Finally, she said, "I wish your father had told you the full picture. If this job is right for you, take it." I slept on the idea. In the morning, I accepted BrightPack's offer and wrote a resignation letter. Dad was reviewing production numbers when I stepped into his office. I gave him the letter. He read the first sentence and asked if I was joking. I said I was leaving for a paid marketing position. He wanted to know which company. I said BrightPack. His face changed shades. He started talking fast about how they undercut him, how they'd stolen one of his engineers last year, how I was handing trade secrets to corporate snakes. I said I hadn't taken a single file and wouldn't share anything private. I reminded him I'd brought in new clients and modern processes and worked months with no pay. He accused me of blackmail. I said it was called getting a job. He called me disloyal. I said loyalty goes both ways. He said if I walked out, I'd walk out of his house too. I said I understood. He told me to pack my stuff by dinner. Mateo appeared in the doorway, looking uneasy. He tried to say something, but Dad cut him off. "Stay out of it." I packed 2 suitcases, some boxes of books, my laptop, and drove to Marcus's apartment. Mom cried on the porch. Dad wouldn't look at me. Since then, Dad has left angry voicemails accusing me of sabotage. He also sent a letter from his lawyer claiming I might have proprietary data. BrightPack's legal department replied, requesting any evidence. None came. Mateo texted me once, "You gotta understand Dad's position." I wrote back, "I do now." Mom sends me short messages asking if I'm eating and if I need anything. Today was my 3rd day at BrightPack. Orientation took 8 hours. They assigned me a mentor, gave me a company laptop, and told me I'd shadow 2 client calls tomorrow. In 3 days, they've provided me more structured training than Dad did all year. Still, the guilt sits on my shoulders. Every time my phone buzzes, I expect another relative calling me selfish. Here are the facts that make me wonder if I'm wrong. 1. Dad paid for my college and let me live rent-free for a year. 2. He taught me how the packaging business works, information that now benefits BrightPack. 3. Family business is often passed to one child. Maybe choosing Mateo makes sense because he enjoys production and I wanted marketing. 4. I didn't sign anything. I could have forced the pay issue sooner instead of letting it explode. And here's why I feel justified. 1. Dad said one day the business will be yours, my whole life. He never hinted it would be Mateo's only. 2. He hid Mateo's salary while telling me room and board equaled pay. That's dishonest. 3. He expects loyalty, but didn't show any to me when I asked about equality. 4. Kicking me out with one day's notice shows he cares more about control than family harmony. BrightPack is sending me a relocation stipend. I'll find a small apartment. The Labrador will miss me, but dogs forgive. The big question is whether I should have turned down BrightPack or negotiated harder with Dad instead of leaving. Did I overreact? Am I really betraying the family for choosing a job that respects my work? I'd appreciate clear judgments because right now I'm balancing pride, guilt, and an air mattress that keeps losing air. OP is definitely not the a-hole. Classic golden child scenario. OP's dad dangled family loyalty as a carrot, while quietly paying off the son he actually wants running the place. Free room and board are not a salary, and hiding your brother's paycheck proves Dad knew it was unfair. OP took a legit offer, gave proper notice, and kept trade secrets to himself. That's called being a professional, not a trader. Family businesses work only when the word family includes everyone, not just the favored kid. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Not the a-hole, but stop apologizing in your own head. You asked for equal treatment. You got a bunch of polish-the-deck garbage and made a career move. Your father's tantrum shows he viewed you as cheap labor, not a future partner. BrightPack hired you for skills your dad undervalued. That's on him. Document everything in case he tries legal nonsense. Then focus on your new job and paying rent someplace with a bed that stays inflated. Soft everyone sucks here. Leaning toward not the a-hole. Dad's secrecy and blow-up are awful. But you did bail out to a direct competitor, which was guaranteed to ignite drama. Could you have shopped around to a different industry first? Maybe. Still, the unequal pay is indefensible, and kicking you out proves he cared more about control than family. If he wants loyalty, he should start by writing fair contracts and dropping the "you owe me" act. Not the a-hole, and watch your back. Family business meltdowns often morph into legal messes. Keep a paper trail, emails, project files proving you didn't take proprietary data, and never badmouth the old company to clients. As for Mom, she can choose who to live with. It's not your job to keep Dad calm. Build your own career, set clear boundaries, send holiday cards if you want, and let your brother enjoy his motivational paycheck. I'll call my brother's wife. I can't even bring myself to call her a sister-in-law. Jordan. My brother Javier. My niece Mia. And myself, Estefania. I think that is enough names. So, Javier has been married to Jordan since mid-2013, and they dated for a year before that. Javier has always been a little bit of a quiet and timid guy, but he was also not really someone who let himself be messed with. Until Jordan came along and ripped his balls from his body and completely whipped him. Jordan has never had a job in the time she's known him. My brother has a blue-collar job and works several hours of overtime a day to support Jordan and her shopping habits. Javier is always tired. They had a baby in August 2014, Mia, and Mia goes to daycare 3 days a week, but Jordan still refuses to work, even part-time. This is background for what I snapped at her about. But that's their own personal business. That's not my problem. My problem is the disrespect Jordan shows me and how it is hitting breaking point. I'm not interested in being Jordan's friend. Quite frankly, she's not someone I'd ever choose to know if I had the choice, and I have my own friends. She's ignorant and not terribly bright. I acknowledge I am stuck having her around. But I am damn well sick of Jordan's disrespect towards me, and her never-ending attempts to paint me as a horrible person who needs to be ejected from the family. Every time we are together as a family, Jordan always puts me down for whatever I am doing in my life. She puts me down for having a retail job. She puts me down for applying for graduate schools and continuing to be a lazy student, even though she never got her GED, let alone a degree. Same with Javier. Not that it makes her lesser than me, just, sort of a who are you to judge me thing. She puts me down for being single and unmarried. I'll be honest and admit I can be a bit picky and often find the guys I like are taken or not interested. And I don't want to settle for some guy in my town I'm really not interested in, since I have my eye on grad school. But Jordan always makes comments about how I am clearly not good enough for a guy, unlike her. My brother has never once stuck up for me, and my parents often stay out of it because they don't want to take sides. But because of that, they become complicit in enabling Jordan to do it. Jordan always will even say things like, "Oh, we won't all fit in one car," when we go out to eat as a family, and suggest I just stay at home. She'll purposely pick a table too small so I have to be crammed into the corner, and she'll huff about having to make room for me. When it was my birthday and we had reservations at 7, she purposely diddled around. I got into trouble for telling her to hurry up. We missed the reservations, and then she chose where we ate instead, and apparently I was in the wrong for snapping at her for ruining my family birthday dinner. Jordan admitted she just didn't want to eat at the place I picked. My mother has Christmas ornaments with all the family's names on them. Jordan accidentally broke mine last year, right before Christmas. So it was lovely having a tree at my parents' house, all Mama, Papa, Javier, Jordan, Mia. Not me. It didn't get replaced in time. She always tries and calls herself my parents' daughter, which makes my father cringe. She doesn't want me around. I'm over it. This is my family, not hers. She doesn't get to just come into my family and do this, but people have let her. I am done with it. Jordan has always made it clear she likes having her 2 brothers as uncles to Mia, but only very begrudgingly tolerates me as Mia's aunt. Her brothers were permitted to visit at the hospital straight away, while it was only after a week of me begging my brother to meet my niece that I was allowed to go over to their house. My brother is much nicer to Jordan's brother than he ever was to me because he has been absorbed into Jordan's family a lot. He'll talk to my parents mostly, but I'm chopped liver. For example, at Mia's christening, they did this thing where they had all the family pour a vial of colored sand into a fancy bottle to make a family sand feature. Jordan had vials for her 2 brothers and their partners. I wasn't meant to be included, even though I am the blood relative of my brother, and both her brothers' partners had been together for less than a year. The christening was May of 2015. Both couples have broken up since. It was only when my father said, "What about Estefania?" that Javier said, "I tried to say that, but..." My father took Javier aside and said that if Estefania isn't included, I'm not participating either, that Jordan caved. There's always been this real disconnect in her head between me and my family and being related to Javier, if that makes sense. Like when someone pointed out that Mia looks like Estefania, Jordan instantly snapped. My daughter does not look like an illegal Latino immigrant. When I said, "If I'm an illegal immigrant, what does that make your husband? We're both a quarter Mexican, you know." And she said, "That's different and you know it. I'm definitely the more Latina looking out of Javier and I. He's almost completely white, while I definitely look at least part Latina. But this was a case of, I like him, but I don't like you. So I'll be R to you, but not him." And last year, I posted a picture of Mia with the caption, "Mi gordita," and Jordan called me screaming for calling her kid fat. In Spanish, calling someone gordita is affectionate, and this has been explained to Jordan even before the incident. Excuse the fact that 2 hours earlier, my mother posted the same picture with the same caption, and Jordan didn't care. She was just happy to have another excuse to fly off the handle at me because she wants me gone. Javier sided with Jordan, but had zero explanation when I asked him why it was okay for my mother to do it, but not for me. I was forced to grovel in apology so I don't lose seeing Mia for my parents and I. Earlier this year, I was counting from 1 to 10 in Spanish to teach Mia, and Jordan lost it at teaching her something I don't know. I can speak Spanish while Javier cannot. See, my mother's father, who was Mexican, died when she was 2, so my mother didn't grow up speaking Spanish because her mother didn't speak it. But Javier and I had a Spanish-speaking nanny as kids. I begged the nanny to teach me Spanish, and she did. Javier understood it for a while, but had no interest in keeping it up as he got a bit older and didn't learn. Javier very deeply regrets that now. Javier said, "I don't think it is a bad thing for Mia to know some Spanish. I wish I did." And Jordan said, "We've talked about this." Javier looked confused, and Jordan said, "Agreeing with your damn sister?" Javier then said, "Steph, don't speak Spanish to Mia," and looked at Jordan with a "happy now" look. And now, the flare point is a couple of weeks ago, when Jordan was making fun of me because I said I couldn't afford to do something because I am saving for grad school. Which, by the way, I am actually going to go to grad school on the other side of the country to get away from this awful family hell that is my life. Jordan would not shut up about it, and it was starting to upset me, and I turned around and said, Yeah, well, some of us actually have to work for things instead of making our husbands work 18-hour days to support our lazy butts. Yeah, I snapped. But it was 4 years of aggression that caused me to lose it in that moment. Now Jordan is basically telling my parents that unless they apologize for what I said and deal with me, they can forget about ever seeing their son or their grandchild again. My father has basically said, fine, because he can't stand Jordan and her crap either. But I can tell it is really bothering my mother, and now I feel all this pressure to just remove myself from the family, even though it would leave me all alone. I think my mother feels like she can't give in to Jordan either, but wishes she could choose Mia over me, and it's really hurting. As it stands, either way, my plan is to move to the other side of the country and pretty much never come back. But I'm deeply hurt Javier has allowed Jordan to come into our family and tear it apart. I feel completely betrayed because there is absolutely no way I would have allowed a partner to treat him the way Jordan treats me, let alone have married them. How on earth can I handle this? I'm sorry you're going through this. Have you talked to your mom about it? What does she say? Did she explicitly tell you to move away? Is she typically a huge jerk? How's your relationship otherwise? And have you ever talked to your brother when you weren't arguing with him? If it were me, I'd make that move across the country. It would probably do you good to have some distance from this crap show. You can always keep in touch with your dad only and move back if the situation improves. What's keeping you where you are? I've learned from seeing this dynamic play out on a smaller scale in my own family that your a-hole sister-in-law is using your niece as leverage. Your mom is enthralled with that baby, and she's not thinking straight. I hate to say it, but maybe you won't have as much value to her as your brother until you give her a grandkid. If that's the case, you might want to reevaluate your future relationship with her based on that information. Give it a few years. When you have that grad school behind you and you get a great salary that can be spent, guess who will be the favorite aunt to meet who totally misunderstood all the things in the past? Pity Jordan. She's an immature and insecure adult who needs the existence of others to feel like she's achieving anything. That attitude only works for some time, because family relationships become tiring. It sucks, but it might be better to give up on Mia. Mia needs the stability of her parents without her affection being torn up. It also means that your sister-in-law has no weapon to threaten with. Javier is perfectly fine with this all. Sometimes siblings grow apart. You don't have to hang on while he's actively undermining the relationship. My mom is a lovely lady who grew up with femininity being shoved down her throat. Her mother was like that, and grandmother was like that. I swear, she owns so many ducking beauty products, it's exhausting. Not because she owns it, but because I grew up being her Barbie doll. I didn't mind it back then, to be honest, although now that I look back, it was very unhealthy. She owns so many beauty magazines, and she's the type of woman who reads Cosmo, wears heels, and is very girly. I don't know if I should word that to refer to my 57-year-old mom, but she's a walking stereotype of woman in romantic comedies, and she thinks it's bomb. Anyway, when I turned a teenager, it was like her peak. She was so excited to talk to me about tampons, for example, which I don't mind. It's actually necessary to talk about that. But the tampon talk was less educative and more vain. She told me to use scented tampons. I calmly explained that it's unhealthy and your V isn't supposed to smell like flowers, which was something my gyno told me. But she's obsessed with looking good and smelling good and being feminine. She bought so many dresses and skirts and heels. She bought me earrings and jewelry and makeup, lots of makeup, and hair products. High school was hell. She has always spoke with the Valley Girl voice and thinks she's so tuned with today's youth. No, Mom, no. Don't offer me condoms in front of the guy I like, Mom. I wish it would stop at how vain she is, but it doesn't. She wants me to act feminine too. I was trying to ask a guy out once because I thought he was lovely, and she pushed me away and said, "No, you're supposed to flirt with him. Give him the signs." What signs, for God's sake? I'm not walking traffic lights. I don't give signals. But she insists on the BS and reads on Cosmo while hanging out with her bat-crap crazy friends. I love my mom, I do. But whenever we're going out, literally anywhere, I have to be dressed up with red lipstick and high heels. If I'm not dolled up, we're not going out. It gets tiring. She threatened to disown me once because I said I didn't want to do my hair on Thanksgiving. This is ducking awful. And she also shows me off to her friends as if I'm such a good girl. Such beautiful, much happiness. I'm done. Please help me. Thank you. Cosmo at 57? Ouch. Force old lady on her. Buy her lavender water, wrinkle concealer, joint pain medicines, dowdy dresses, old lady hats. Bring her leaflets on retirement homes and wig catalogs. Bring samples of incontinence pads. Go on and on, re-emphasizing that she is now a shriveled old crone who needs to learn to age gracefully, whilst you are young and succulent. You're old enough to tell her straight, "Mom, I'm 21 and can dress however I please within the bounds of decency. I feel very uncomfortable, and if you persist with this, we won't be going anywhere together." I think you just have to make a stand and call her bluff. I feel like I'm in the twilight zone. I chose to end my relationship and call off my engagement a few months ago. He was a good person, and the breakup wasn't really ugly or anything. We had been living apart for the better part of a year for school, and I realized I wasn't in love anymore. I wanted to live independently and focus on my schooling and making friends, and that was that. I expected my family to be a little shaken over the breakup because, on the outside, things looked great to them. He was very committed and successful, and we were set to live a very comfortable life together. A big house and high-paying jobs. I did not expect them to act the way they have been, and I guess I'm looking for words of wisdom from anyone who's been through something similar. None of my siblings will speak to me. My aunts and uncles have all messaged me saying how hard it was to see us break up, and that they hope my ex is doing well. My mom started off by saying that maybe I need to adjust my anxiety medication, and I'll realize how big of a mistake it was to leave him. She then went on to say that I'm cruel for doing this to him. She stopped talking to me as well, and has actually been consoling my ex and having him over to the house. My father initially told me that it was just a phase and I would come to my senses. Yesterday, my father posted on an event page for our family reunion that unless my ex is going, he will not show up. About 7 other family members piggybacked on this, saying that he is invited and they all want to see him. I responded to this by saying that no, he isn't invited, and that's that. A few members shot back by saying how cold and insensitive I am. Now, I'm uninvited to the family reunion, and my father will not speak to me. What the heck, guys? I've been sobbing about this a lot. I have a mostly good relationship with my family, or so I thought. I just don't even know what to do here. Is there anything I can do to remedy this? You are probably wondering, if so many family members are mad at me, is it possible that they are right? That's a normal reaction. And the answer is, no, it is not possible that they are right. If there is one thing that is an absolute about life choices, it is that we choose our marital partners ourselves, and we can unchoose them for any reason, good, bad, or non-existent. So your family has a very strange set of values here. But try to keep your head wrapped around the idea that what you did was normal. What they did was abnormal. I can relate to an extent. I didn't have a close family relationship to begin with. I'm getting a divorce and my family is on my ex's side. To be fair, it was a surprise to them, but I had been checked out of my marriage for a while. After I told them, they rushed to console him. They had late-night phone conversations with him, visited him at home to make sure he was okay, and iced me out. They all say what a mistake it is, and I'll regret it. I'm standing strong with the help of friends. I felt betrayed, and don't think our family bond will ever quite be the same.